one more Ramsey one. Now this one is I think this one's a fun one. So it's another TikTok guy, but he's talking on living on $25 an hour, right? And they're gonna get, and it's gonna be Skippy and what's his name, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Coleman.
Yeah, Ken Coleman. I think we're some Skippy and
Right, so
Skippy and Fruity Doop.
Now, let me set this up very briefly, and we're going to pause it a few times. So stay with us. This is a very popular and viral TikTok, and this is a real sentiment. I want you to understand something. We're not about to show you this and destroy and criticize and belittle the sentiment. We will take issue with some things, factually, but understand, and I want to set this up properly. There are millions and millions of Americans, George, who feel the way that this gentleman feels. So take this with a shaker of salt and understand this is why we do what we do here at Ramsey Solutions. Let's roll the video.
If you're making less than $25 an hour right now, you should be terrified. If you are making less than $25, you're going to be very pissed off by the time we get to the end of this video.
All right, pause.
This information here is going to scare you.
All right, pause. First of all, okay, what he just said there is not true. You'll be fine if you're making $25 an hour.
We don't go viral on TikTok without some fear-mongering, Ken.
Boy.
Well, but they're missing this point. So why does he pick $25 an hour? Because $25 an hour and an average working year is $50,000 a year. Okay. Median income's what, around 52? So half of all Americans are making $52,000 or less. Half. So that's why he picks that number. So he's going to break down a budget, but the bottom line is they're going to miss the point here. They're going to think that, oh yeah, this is all fine, but they're going to miss what the bigger point is. But half of all Americans, and that's all age groups, make 52 or less. That's why he picked 25. But they don't get that because they're not finance people.
Scare the how did he say?
You're not going to sleep tonight if you make less than $25 an hour.
Okay, this is absolute nonsense, but a lot of people feel this way. All right, now George will tell you how we can do this later. Let's keep going.
I just spent some time looking at some monthly averages of regular costs of living all across the U.S., average costs. And I put them all in a spreadsheet, did all the math for you so you can see exactly what this big picture is here. So these are just normal expenses that most single consumers have, and this is all.
Okay, so let's look at this real quick. So just basic expenses. So he's got rent, $1,659, that's average rent in the United States. Groceries, $500, electric, water, his vehicle stuff, cell phone, internet, streaming, trash. You notice what he doesn't have in there, Lacey?
No.
Medical. He has no medical. He also
doesn't have like credit cards or student loans or anything like that, which is pretty prevalent for most people.
And you know what else he doesn't have? Discretionary money. He has no fun money. This is all just basic survival without medical care or any debt.
Right.
Which is unrealistic for.
So it assumes you have a vehicle payment, either a lease or a loan,
right?
But no other type of debt, and that's pretty uncommon. That's the only debt.
Right. We're talking about the most Spartan budget you can fucking put together.
Mm-hmm.
All of them laid out national average right here. The average cost of an apartment is $1,659 a month. With groceries, you're going to spend $500 on that, and go down a list here. But add all that up, you're looking at $3,285 a month just in your cost of living expenses, which means to break even.
Pause.
All right, George, so $3,285 a month. I want to point this out. If you have $50,000 a year, you're making $25 an hour. After tax, you're making about $39,500, and that leaves you $3,291. So you are barely making it every month. And this is no medical, no debt, no fun, barely, based on what he's doing. But they're going to tell you how you can survive better.
I'll let you step in here, but I pointed this out on my show. We're already a little bit out of whack here when you look at just the average vehicle payment. The average used car payment is just a shade under $700 a month.
Insane.
So we're not even working with real numbers here. All right, and then let's just point out that what if you didn't have that car payment? How far would that go?
1,000%. But one of the reasons people don't have margin is because they are living with payments, giving all of their hard-earned money to lenders every month, and they think, well, this is the path. This is how I get financial freedom. This is what success looks like. But we teach no debt, pay for things with cash, get reasonable used cars. And so this is a big part of the picture of why there's no margin in this person's budget.
That's right. That's why.
So let me clarify this. So I actually looked this up. So their argument is, well, if we just get rid of the car payment, everything will be fine. That's kind of where they're going. So they were a little wrong. So average new car payment is $717 in the United States. Average used car payment is $525 a month. Okay. I went on to Nerd Wallet, and they say, okay, if you're doing a reasonable, reliable used car, and you're going to pay for it upfront in cash, you're paying at least $5,000. So that assumes you have $5,000. Well, if we're talking about take-home pay, that's 7 weeks take-home pay just to buy a car and pay it off. So in his assumption, in his budget, he had the car at $400. So he's even undercutting what the average is, which is $525. Okay. Now I went on to Bankrate, and they looked at this. So the average cost to operate a new car in the United States is about $9,666 a year. So that's about $805 a month. That's everything. That's gas, maintenance, tires, payments, insurance, all that stuff, right? So let's say for a used car, it's half that. So that's still $400 a month. Even if you owe nothing on the car, just to operate the car is going to cost you that. But on a used car, it's probably going to cost you more, especially a cheap car, because you're going to have more maintenance problems because it's old.
Right.
So
so it may not be in your monthly payment, but it's still going to be an expense that comes up regularly enough
through the year. So you're still looking at somewhere between $600 to $900 a month just to operate a used car in any given month. And that's license, registration, insurance, parking, all that shit, right? So just getting rid of the car payment doesn't solve a fuck ton here, but we'll see what they do.
This out, America. He's saying you can't make enough. This whole video is if you should be making way more than $25 an hour, which, by the way, I'm for that. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing, helping people make really good money. But to say that the man is keeping you down when we don't even have the car payment correctly put in this budget, and people think that that's just something they've got to carry around. So,
furthermore, he's not saying the man is keeping you down. He's saying be wary of what you're making and what the costs are.
All right, let's keep rolling.
And just squeeze by paycheck to paycheck, you have to be making $32.85 every 4 weeks. So this is calculated at your monthly income at a 40-hour work week. So it's your hourly rate times 160 hours for 4 weeks.
So we'll skip this point and just get to his.
Is at $25 an hour. It could even get worse than that because chances are you're going to be paying more than 16% in total with the holdings.
Pause. Sorry, there's those two options, Ken. All right, George, that's what I wanted you to weigh in on, because I weighed on this on my show. But this is a false choice.
Well,
kill yourself.
Most people lose hope because they back themselves into a corner and decide there's only two choices, Ken. Either kill myself working jobs I hate, or that's it. That's it. This is the only path.
Yeah, so you looked at the spreadsheet. Nothing.
Well, those aren't two choices. Kill myself working a job I hate, or this is the only path. Well, that's one choice, dude. These guys, they are not working with a full deck. I swear to God. It's like playing poker, and the guy's got the cards facing you, and he's got two jokers, the card with the rules on it, and like a 2. And he's like, I'm all in.
Right. And he's like,
I win. Sure you do, buddy. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, but here's the deal. He's got a good point, which is the median income is just barely enough to survive. And that we're, like I said, we're not factoring in. We're factoring in a single person without kids, with no medical insurance, who has no social life and doesn't have any fun.
who has no credit card payments, no student loan payments, has an auto payment, but one that is not necessarily in alignment with average numbers.
It's actually cheaper, yeah.
Right, exactly.
But But they're going to tell you, no, that's fine. You can succeed on that. You can live on that.
There's no advice in this TikTok about controlling spending.
No. So
What issues do you have?
if you're just listening,
How much less can he spend, right? They're going to tell you, but it just kills me. It's like, yeah, he's already fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel.
not seeing the spreadsheet, but outlined here, the first number is rent at $16.59, which he claims is the average rent in the U.S. I don't buy that. Now, if you're on the coast, you're in some higher cost of living cities, yes. But let me tell you, Ken, if this is based on a single person, let's say a single young guy,
Right.
that's kind of who he's talking to in this video. Well, I was not living by myself.
Furthermore, he's not talking to a single young guy. He's talking to half the American public that works. Half the American people make less $52,000 a year or less. That's half. Not just some single guy in his 20s.
For a nice apartment when I was a single young guy in my entry-level job. I had a roommate. You might have multiple roommates, and so to be paying $16.59 is insane. I would say, well, time to get a roommate. That cuts your rent down to $8.25, and it just gave you $800 in margin back in your life. Now let's pay off that car because you're paying $400 a month towards that car payment, or you sell the car. That's an extra $400 back in our life. Now look what happens, Ken. We have an extra $1,200 of margin that we can breathe.
Don't forget the streaming. He's got $37 down for streaming.
Yeah,
which
we
you
can
don't
cut
have to
subscriptions
have.
down. Yes.
You know.
So there are ways to trim the budget. The question are, what are you willing to do? Because don't tell me you can't. Don't tell me you can't get a roommate. Say you're unwilling to get a
$37
roommate.
for streaming. Okay. So seriously, I don't have very many things that I stream. I literally have one thing that I pay for that I stream.
Mhm.
But really, if you have two platforms that you are streaming and zero cable, you're already going to be at $37. So that's not saying this person has decided to get every subscription to stream,
Well,
under
even
the sun. And they have no entertainment budget otherwise. So, like, they have zero entertainment budget, and they're not allowed to have two streaming services. Like,
yeah, I can't watch
on.
Netflix.
it's like, okay, you can't watch Netflix and have Hulu. You only have one because you can't spend more than, your $15.
But that's the point, and that's the point they missed, which I think is so funny, which is the guy makes a simple point, which is, and he doesn't say it, but that's the truth, which is he's talking about half of Americans make that or less than that. And he's saying just to survive on that, you have to live a Spartan budget. You can't have health care. You can't have kids, really. You can hardly afford just to survive. And they're saying, well, but that's fine. See, just get a roommate and everything's going to be okay. And right. What they don't understand is most people aren't in those positions. They're living at a deficit because of that situation, because pay is so shitty and low. And the idea that, oh, well, you can just cut back, it's like, but you're talking about half of Americans. You're talking about, oh, yeah, you're 50, making only $50,000 a year. Just get a roommate. You don't even get to have your own place. Just cut back. Just suffer more. We don't give a shit. The problem is you. It's so scumbaggy. It's so self-entitled, as you've said many, many times before. And commenters keep saying, yeah, Lacey's right. It's so self-entitled. But it's that, you're right. It's that.
You have to stop and think, like, maybe it's been a while since that's what you made, but you have to recognize there are many, many people, and as you pointed out, that's like, half of America is making that. And what a sense of, entitled sort of, no offense, but jackass thing to say to just assume this person get a roommate. This person might be like 45, 50, 55 years old, and you can have a roommate at any age if you want to, and that is a strategy for saving money. I support you wholeheartedly. But you know what? I don't expect somebody who's in that age range to want to get a roommate. Or what if it's not even just a single person? It is, a person with a kid. That adds complications to the get a roommate scenario. Again, not impossible,
Right.
but it just assumes a lot to just assume that that's what people are going to really be able to do in the easiest manner.
Yeah.
This TikToker didn't say all these people are 25.
Right. Well, we're talking about two idiots that fell back asswards into their BS jobs where they're not qualified at all to be giving advice on any of this stuff. They have no educational background. They have no experience in these fields. And what are they telling? They're telling half the American workers. They're telling 90 million Americans, just get a roommate, pay off your car.
Hey, I'm all about that. Pay off a car and have that $40
Yeah,
a month do something else. Sure,
but it's not going to solve the problem.
But it's pretty short-sighted to look at that and say that is the problem.
No.
The problem is that $50,000 a year is like a scraping by thing, because okay, sure, you get rid of the $400 a month car payment, and you know what? Maybe that means you can actually go out to a movie once in a while, because that's nowhere in the budget. Maybe you can go get your teeth cleaned and pay the copay, because I'm going to cross my fingers and hope you have insurance through your job,
Well, but even then, that's not factored in the budget, because most jobs will make you pay for part of that.
Right, that's what I said, and afford to pay the copay or whatever, your chunk of it is. Yeah, it's crazy to think that 400 wouldn't get absorbed by something else that's perfectly valid, because there were lots of valid things that were not in that budget that, for all intents and purposes, maybe should have been.
Yeah. No, and when really the issue is, and we came back to it, was the worker shortage issue with Dave Ramsey and all that. Problem is it just kind of sucks for half of Americans. And the reality is we can't sit here and solve that problem. We can't sit here and fix it. What we can say is, look, at least know when you're going to the polls and who you're voting for. At least know how you're getting fucked. Right. On top of that fact, I'd say this is, you want to change your situation. It's not as simple as just fucking pay off your car. Go get an education. You're going to have to do something drastic. You're going to have to take a risk. That's the only way that works in this fucking country. It's not as simple as, oh, we'll just get a roommate. Because you'll be stuck. You'll be stuck forever. And like you said, you'll have a fucking dental problem or a medical problem, and then boom, you're on all this credit debt, and you're paying that shit off, and you could barely afford to live. The idea of these people quitting their jobs and trying to unionize, yeah, that's how you do it. I want more money. I deserve more money. You got to get that mentality in your head. I'm worth more. That, I got to tell you, is going to be my argument against all these financial expert guru dipshits. Is you need to get that in your head, that you're worth more. Because you are.
Right.
You fucking are. And that, I think, is going to be my final thought. I'm going to let Lacey take it from here. You got anything else you want to throw?
You know what? I'm just going to leave it with your final thought, because that was pretty good.
Thank you.
I agree with your final thought.
Thank you.
So,